del Piemonte. You are in for an unbelievable treat today. This is going to be so unbelievably fun. We have an incredible seminar ready for you. And just as Alessandro and I were talking just a few minutes before we pressed go, I was just blown away by what's going to be presented today. So I'm just going to give a few minutes for everybody to dial in. We have already a huge number of people on the line. So just want to welcome everybody to La Festa del Piemonte. This is the first year that we've done an expanded seminar with lots of different, an expanded Festa, I should say, with lots of different seminars and a mix of seminars and tastings. And I hope you've enjoyed the program so far. Today, I'm really honored to welcome my collaborator, my colleague, my friend, Alessandro Masnaghetti, who's going to show you some amazing things. So welcome, Alessandro. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Antonio. I'm really happy and proud and honored to be here.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
I'm a little bit tired, so be patient.
Yeah, it is not your night, at your time. It's tough to find the right time to do these live because if we start tasting wine at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's very early in California, although plenty of people have been game for that. If we go too late, it's too late for you. So we're experimenting a little bit with this 3 o'clock New York hour, which is obviously 9 o'clock your time. So thank you very much for your time at this hour. If I know you very well, so I know you've worked all day, and I know when we're done, you're going to go back to work.
Yeah.
So we've got a few questions already. So that's a perfect lead into the goal with these seminars, which is to make these seminars as interactive as possible. And so, please give us your questions. The sooner we get your questions, the more we can weave them into the conversation. It's challenging with Alessandro because every time we talk to him, we realize we could spend the entire day on any subject. And so it's always challenging to fit it in. So I'm just going to turn it over to him really quickly, but I'm just going to tell you the format of today. We're going to be looking at Alessandro's new website, Barolo Barolo 360, which everybody who's on our email list should have gotten a coupon for a free month. So I would encourage you to check it out. It's an unbelievable resource. And just because there's so much to cover today, I thought it would be fun to focus on a single village. And, if you guys like this seminar, there's already well over 100 people on this call. So if you guys like this format, we're happy to repeat it at some later date. I think I can speak for Alessandro that he'd be happy to do it. But I would certainly be. But yeah. But so in order to break this down into manageable pieces today, we're going to focus on the vineyard Serralunga, which is one of the 14 villages of the Barolo zone. And it's the wines that come from Serralunga are things like the Conterno Francia, the Monfortino, Gaia Spers, the Vigna Riondas of various different producers, Ceretta, Baudana. These are all some of the very famous vineyards, Ornato. They're all fairly small and very delineated, which is why we thought it would be fun to start with Serralunga, because the vineyards are pretty small, as Alessandro's going to show you next to some of the other villages. So you have Ornato from Pio Cesare, you have Gabutti, you have Lazzarito. So these are all really great vineyards, and Alessandro's going to show you them. Before we get started, there's just a couple of questions that I think would be fun to get out of the way. The first is about the coupon. The coupon is Festa 360, Alessandro?
Yes, sure.
With a lowercase f, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, we're going to show you the website. So let me just get a few housekeeping things out of the way. So the coupon is Festa 360. So lowercase FESTA, then the number's 360. Alessandro has a question about, not our Alessandro, but a different Alessandro, about showing the 360. So we're going to show that now in a few minutes, as soon as I get a few housekeeping things out of the way. And then Christopher notices that you have a bass guitar, Alessandro, so in the background. So one of these days we're going to get you to play it, and maybe I'll play guitar.
No, I like bass guitar. I like guitar, but I'm not able to play. You are at the top level compared to me.
We give you a Barolo, and we turn into cream. We need a drummer, though. All right, cool. So seriously, so now I'm going to hand it over to Alessandro, as we've still got a lot of people joining, so this is fantastic. Alessandro, I'm going to turn it over to you to show us Barolo 360, the website, and then we're going to take a deep dive into the vineyards of Serralunga for the next hour or so. And again, thanks for joining us. You're in for a real treat. So I turn it over to you, Alessandro.
Okay, I share the screen. It works. It's okay. You can see it.
Yep, it's good.
Okay, perfect. Right. So just a few words about the website, just to give you some information. Of course, is quite simple because you have a menu at the top with different section. So if you are interested in use the coupon, you have to click on subscribe, okay, and you enter this page. You click on the 360 light, and you enter the coupon, and you have the free subscription for 1 month. Okay, so it's very simple. Then even all the name in the menu are simple. So this is about the territory. These are the different fact sheets about the communes, then the MGA. And this is quite important to me because I love it so much. This is the vintage section. So you have all the vintages from the 2020 down to 2000. So 20 years in detail, and you have the description. Sorry tonight, the line here is so slow. But anyway, you have the description of the vintage with the temperature, the rainfall, everything you need, and the distribution of the harvesting dates. So this is what you can find that you can use with your coupon. So you can go back here, and just a few words for some people maybe is a repetition, but for some other it could be useful, and it's really important to have in mind some reference point when we talk about Barolo, Barbaresco, or any other region, any other wine region. So this picture was shooted at the top of Castiglione Falletto. You can see here the tower of Castiglione Falletto. So we are approximately in the center of the appellation Barolo. So you can see Novello down there. Okay, I try to use the pencil. Okay, this is Novello. It means that we are looking to the south. Okay, and Novello is on the southern boundary of the appellation. So if we, sorry, be patient, because I am trying to use another software but I don't know why.
It's technology. It's okay. It's all good.
This is technology, but I don't know why it doesn't work. I can stop the pen. Okay. Oh, no, I don't want to use the pencil anymore. I try to go slow and that's all. So we are looking to the north. Okay. So Gallo d'Alba and Verduno. It is the northern boundary of the appellation. Then you have here the ridge of Serralunga. Okay. That is on the eastern side of the appellation, and we will see in detail right after. Okay, this is, you have Cascina Francia. On the other side, I move slowly. Okay, you have La Mora, right? So La Mora is the western side of the appellation. Then you have to focus on two areas. This one, follow the cursor, the mouse here. So this is the valley of Barolo that is quite wide and is divided between, on one side you have La Mora, on the other side you have Castiglione Falletto. And if we turn on this side, we have the valley of Serralunga and Monforte d'Alba. As you can see, the valley is narrower. So this could be an explanation of the difference that we can see between the wines of Monforte and the wines of Serralunga. Just to give you an idea, all the crus that you can see here on the side of Serralunga are early ripening crus. These crus that you have here are late ripening crus. This is quite strange because all the best positions are south facing. So the same temperature, the same hours of sun, but on Serralunga usually are early ripening compared to Monforte d'Alba. This is probably due to the fact that you can see these woods here, this high ridge here that makes some shades at the end of the season. So at the end of the season, in the afternoon, these crews are in the shades while Serralunga is still in the sun till the end of the day. So this is just to give you some idea. Now we will see what is happening. You can see the geological map now or not?
No, you have to take this one down and then open the new file.
Now I have to wait a second. I supposed to. Okay, this is geological map, right?
Yep, it's just takes a minute to load. Exactly.
Perfect. So the villages inside the appellation are 11. Okay, and as you can see, the geological map is. I'm working on the geological map of Chianti Classico, and so for me, this map is very, very simple compared to Chianti Classico, because Chianti Classico is really a mess. Yeah, but while here you have, of course, you have 10 different geological formation, but for us, there are 3 main geological formation. So remember, first of all, that here in the area around Alba, so in Barbaresco and Roero included, the soils are sedimentary soils of marine origin. On the side, on the left bank of the river Tanaro, you have the Roero with the younger soils and more sandy, while the older soil are on the right bank of the river, so in Barbaresco and in Barolo. It is important because sometimes when we talk about wines, we usually say that that older soils are of better quality compared to younger soil. This is not, in my opinion, true, because as you can see here in yellow on the right of the image, there are the Formazione di Lecchio, the geological formation that is called Formazione di Lecchio, and it is the oldest one among the formation of Barolo. Of course, we know that the quality of the wine of Serralunga is the top inside the appellation, but we know as well that here, I can zoom a little bit in, you can see here there is Brunate, Cerecchio, you have Canubi here, you have Busia, and you can see that these crews are on a younger geological formation, and in particular, we are talking about Marne di Santagata fossili, so Sant'Agata fossili marls, and to go in more detail, I try again to use the pencil because it's important, but it's so difficult. Why? Okay. So this area is the area of Marne di Sant'Agata. As you can see, there are 3 different colors. It means that we have 3 different kinds of Sant'Agata fossili marls. The first one is here, okay, in pale brown, is the sandy type, okay, and is typical of the village of Castiglione Falletto and that part, and mainly of the western part of Monforte d'Alba, and in particular of the Busia. Okay, then you have here in the lower part, in the lowest hills here, okay, you have the typical Sant'Agata fossili marls with a higher percentage of clay. And this is why the shape of the hill in this area is more round compared to the hill that you can find here in Castiglione Falletto and Busia. This is due to the composition, because you have less erosion compared to the sandy type, and this is why you have these rolling and rounded hills in this area. Then you have in orange here, along the ridge of La Mora up to Novello, you have the laminated Sant'Agata fossili Mars, okay? Then I clear, sorry, all this drawing. Then the last one is not really the last one, but among the most important, there is this area in brown, and this one as well, okay? And every time at the top of the ridge, you have the arenarie di Diano, so the Diano Sandstones, as the name says, this is mainly composed of sand, okay? This is why usually the wine that are produced on this kind of formation are usually lighter compared to Serralunga or compared to Busia or Brunate and Cerrecchio. Another, any question? You have no question, Antonio?
Questions, but we're going to weave them in. Maybe we should look at and move over to talk a little bit about Serralunga and see what's unique about it.
So I can zoom a little bit in Serralunga. Sorry, I try to so
while you do that, just explain that when the menciones were created, the sort of rough equivalent.
So this is because about the MGA, the Menzioni Geografiche Aggiuntive, here is not so easy to see, but the first characteristic of Serralunga about MGA is that if you compare the number of names here in Monforte, okay, and the number of names that you have here in Serralunga on the right, you can see that in Serralunga there are much more MGA compared to Monforte. So this is one of the main characteristics of Serralunga, and this is why I have to say I love in particularly the work that has been done by the Serralunga producer as well as the Castiglione Falletto producer, because all the top position has been delimited officially. So you can see, for example, here, I try, oh my goodness. What happened? Oh, sorry, but are you, okay, sorry, because there was a little problem with the line. Okay, can you see me, right?
Yeah, we can see the map.
Antonio?
Yeah, we can see the map.
Yeah, okay, sorry, because for 5 seconds, everything disappeared on my monitor. So
Good.
that's why
Okay.
I will, so you can see here, for example, Gabuti, Lazaretto, and Parafada that we will see later with images. Then you have this fabulous sector here that is Margheria, Marenca, and Rivette, one of my favorite. Unfortunately, we have only a few wines produced from here. Then you have one of the most famous cruise in the appellation, that is Vigna Rionda. And then you have the section that you mentioned before, Antonio, so Bricolina, Ornato, and Falletto, okay? And we go down to Boscareto here and Francia, okay? So as you can see, all the top cruise has been delimited, because if we go to Busia or in Ginestra, many cruise has been, come si dice, Antonio, Uniti, has been...
vineyards, they were sort of put together into what is probably best as
put together to make up a bigger MGA. So inside Busia, you can find very famous cruise vineyards like Pianpolvere, Dardi, but that are not officially delimited. While in Serralunga, you have all these vineyards, okay? And then I try to clear the, because I have to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so what is important to say that going back to the geology is that usually we say Serralunga d'Alba is formazione di Lecchio. It's not completely true, because as you can see here in the northern part of the commune, in the Fontana Fredda area, in San Rocco, Costabella, Sorano, and part of Cerretta, the geology is connected to the Sant'Agata, the typical Sant'Agata fossili Mars, okay? While the Formazione di Lecchio starts from Cerretta and goes down to Francia. And nobody says that. You can find the Formazione di Lecchio even on the other side of the valley, so inside the Monforte commune. So large part of Ginestra and Castelletto and Perno is on the Formazione di Lecchio soil. And a question could be, why the style is so different? While the wine from Perno and Castelletto are so different from Vignarionda, because as you can see here, I try to use again the pencil here. Okay, this area, Castelletto and Vignarionda, are facing each other. So there is 300, 400 meters between Castelletto and Vignarionda. But you know perfectly that the style of the wine of Vignarionda is completely different from Castelletto. So just to say that we always try to give an explanation of the style of the wine using the geology or the soil composition.
Yeah, so can I jump
to remember,
Sandro?
this is not the only factor, okay? So this is, in my opinion, the difference between Castelletto and Vignarionda is, in this case, the exposure, because this is facing southeast and this is due south, okay? But it's due to the microclimate as well. As I said at the beginning, this area of Serralunga is much warmer compared to Castelletto, this area of Castelletto and Perno.
Okay, so an example, right, of the top of Serralunga, Cerretta soil versus the southern part, you could find that when you taste the two wines from Giacomo, right? Barolo Cerretta has
but
one,
not only, yes,
and Barolo Francia,
not only
different, and so is Arione, very different. That's where you can see the contrast between that part of Serralunga that Alessandro is talking about, that's Marne De Santagata, and then the other style.
Yes, but even here, if you compare the wines of Roberto Conterno, so the Arione and Francia, you can see perfectly the difference between Arione and between the two wines. So Arione is south facing, okay? So usually it's much warmer, and it is early ripening compared to Francia. Francia has a little bit more maybe acidity, is more austere. But going to, oh, I have to, sorry, okay, I moved there. The Cerretta Hill, and we will see later with the 360 image from the top, is really a textbook about the difference due to the soil and the geology. Because why the wines from Cerretta, you cited before Roberto Conterno, but Azelia as well is coming from this area, okay, is coming from this part of Cerretta, okay. Here you have two factors that are important. First of all, you said before, this is the typical Sant'Agata fossili Mars. On the south-facing part of Cerretta and in Prapo, you are in the Formazione di Lecchio area, okay? This is the first difference. But you can see this pattern, this red pattern here, okay, in this area, okay? And this is an area with evoluted soil. So the color of the soil is not so white as in the south-facing area of Cerreta. It's reddish in color. And usually this kind of soil gives to the wine more color, more fruit, and more flesh, while the white soil gives usually more perfume and not always more elegance, but anyway, are more austere compared to the wines produced on evoluted soil, like the Cerreta from Roberto Conterno or the Cerreta from Azelia. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we should look at the at some of the 360 images, Alessandro, because they're really beautiful.
Sure. Yeah, I have to close this sharing, so I go to this one. Okay.
Answer a couple of questions while that happens. One of them is maybe something we should have answered at the beginning, but there's a question about what is an MGA, and an MGA is a long Italian word phrase called, it's Menzione Geografica Aggiuntiva, which basically means that a place is identified, its boundaries are identified, and therefore that place carries a specific name. So it is kind of a Italian equivalent of a cru in French, although as you saw maybe from that first map, when they did these, each village had, I said that there were 14, but you corrected me, Alessandro, there's 11. I need to get more sleep, I guess. But each village had the task of deciding what its divisions were going to be. And some of them were very precise, which is why we wanted to focus on Serralunga in this seminar. And others, because of political pressure, have these bigger boundaries. So Ginestra, Busia, these places Alessandro was talking about a few minutes ago, they're really not at all like single vineyards. They're like districts. It's like a whole cluster of vineyards, really. So that's what an MGA is. And this is a beautiful shot, Alessandro. Why don't we look at some of the images in your site, in the Barolo 360 site, and hopefully people can open that if they want with a coupon and check it out, because it's really groundbreaking stuff.
So this is, as you have seen from the geological map, Serralunga is quite easy to explain as a commune. It's not so complicated as Monforte or La Morra, because it's mainly a single ridge going from from Galdalba, from the northern boundary of the appellation, so the lowest part of the appellation, and goes to the south, reaching the upper part of the appellation. So you go, the differences between the ridge starts at around 200 meters and goes up to 450, more or less, in meter. And so, as I told you, it's quite easy to explain, and you can see this, the first part of the ridge. So this is Fontana Fredda, the first cru that you can see at the horizon. Then you have, this is the hill of Cerreta that we will see later on. And then we move to the second image. We are just moved a little bit toward the town of Serralunga. We can see Fontana Fredda again, Prapo and Cerreta, but we start to see Gabutti, Parafada, and Lazzarito. But what is more important in Serralunga is that, as I said before, is a single ridge, quite straight line ridge. So you have two different slopes, one facing to the east and one facing to the west. The slopes facing to the east is the one in blue here on the right, while the one facing to the west is the one in yellow, so on the left of the image. Of course, when I say east facing and west facing, I mean in general terms, because as you can see on the western slopes, on the western side of the ridge, is not uniform. there are many hills, many amphitheaters, and of course, the exposure of each MGA can change a lot, okay? So the side is the western side, but inside the western side, you have a southern exposure, you have western exposure, and sometimes, and really rare on the western side is really rare to have southeast facing vineyards, okay? And quite the same for the east facing side. You have east, southeast, south facing vineyards, but it's quite unusual to have south facing vineyards on the eastern side of the ridge, okay? Having said that, we can say that the eastern side of the ridge is the coolest, okay? While the west-facing side is the warmest.
Well, Alessandro, what's on the east?
Yeah.
What are some examples of vineyards on the east and some that are on the west? Just for
This is the blue. All the vineyards that you can see here in blue are on the east side of the ridge. So, for example, Brea, that you can see here, I try to show you. I try to use this fantastic pencil. So this is the beautiful crew of Bricco Voghera. This is Bricco Voghera at the top, okay? And this is Brea. So this is the vineyard of Camilla from Brovia family, okay? These are crews that are located on the eastern side of the ridge that usually is cooler compared to the western side. Of course, this vineyard is looking south and southeast. So it means that in any case, it's a very good exposure. I know that it's complicated to explain, but I repeat, it's better. The best example is not in Serralunga, but is in Castiglione Falletto, just to give you an idea. And the best example is Rocca di Castiglione. Because again, Rocca di Castiglione on the ridge of Castiglione Falletto is like Brea on the east-facing side of the ridge. Okay, so it's cooler, but at the same time has an exposure to south and southeast. So you have a fresher fruit compared to Villero, okay? But at the same time, you feel the excellent exposure. So in any case, Rocca di Castiglione is a top cru, like Brea is a top cru. And unfortunately, we have not the opportunity to taste the wine and compare the wine, because in this case, if you have in mind, so I try to delete, okay, the drawings. So if you know the wines, try to imagine a wine coming from Lazzarito, or a wine coming, sorry, again, oh my goodness. Okay. Or a wine coming from Gabuti, okay? As you know, usually Lazzarito and Gabuti are well-structured wine with Gabuti with rough tannin, okay, that needs time. And if you try to imagine the wine from Brea, the wine from Brovia family is, again, a wonderful wine, but usually is leaner compared to Gabuti or Lazzarito. There is more elegance, okay? And usually there is more acidity. Do you agree, Antonio?
Brea from
Yeah,
compared
Gabuti,
to,
for example, to Gabuti.
well,
This is
I don't,
the different in my. It's very, very different. This is due to exposure.
yeah, but I mean, who is the great producer in Gabuti that it's the level of Brovia? Capellano, and then?
Yes, it's Capellado, but even from Boasso, because we have to try to forget the quality and go to the earth of the wine. So if you taste the wine from Boasso, you can feel perfectly. And even if you taste the wine from Sordo, in my opinion, that is completely different in style from Capellano, but you can feel this tannin, the touch of tannin that is typical of Gabuti, and it's completely different from Farfalla and Lazzarito, and it's completely different from Brea. While Brea is always fresher compared the fruit, the tannin, and the acidity compared to Gabuti. I suppose that you do not agree, Antonio.
Well, that's why both of us are here. I mean, it's hard for me to, I guess, to think just about the earth. The other thing is, for me personally, Berea is one of the top 10 or 12 vineyards in all of Barolo. So there's not going to be many vineyards that are of that same level. And I do think that the producer matters a lot, and that's why Cro Parentu is a prized wine.
Yes.
It was made famous by a person.
I'm not saying that the producer doesn't matter, because we have a lot of examples where the producer is very, very important. Yeah. But I agree perfectly, because if you look at some crews that I do not want to cite, but that are not comparable in quality to Brea or Prapo or Lazzarito, where you can have excellent results, but this is due to the producer.
Arborina.
But
for me, for example, Arborina.
Yeah, I didn't want to tell the name, but you are perfectly right. I agree. I agree with you.
We've spent too much time together. I know exactly what you're thinking.
Yes, it's that. It's Arborina, but it's not the only one. It's not the only one. So because the time is going fast, so let's go to the third image. So again, with the drone, we are going to the south, and then you have Serralunga here at the center. You can see Bricco Voghera here. Okay, so we moved to the south, and we can see again in blue, in pale blue here, the eastern side of the ridge, and in yellow, the western side of the ridge. And what you can see that is important, not for the quality of the wine, but just to have an idea of Serralunga, the eastern side of the ridge of Serralunga is narrower compared to the western side, because as you can see here, is only from the top of Serra to the bottom of Serra is less than 100 meters. Okay, while if you go from the top of Serra to the bottom of Bricolina is 200 meters. Okay, and here you are looking at one of the most renowned region of Serralunga. So you have Bricolina, Ornato in the middle, and then you have Falletto here at the center of the image. And in this case, I don't know how to explain. I don't know if you have an explanation. The difference between the style of the wine between Ornato and Falletto. Maybe again is the style of the producer as well. Because if you look at the soil, is more or less the same, and the exposure is more or less the same. Maybe Falletto is a little bit more closed in, so it could be a little bit cooler compared to Ornato. And this could explain the little difference in power between the two wines. Usually, in my opinion, Ornato is warmer compared to Falletto, the wines. I'm talking about the wines. Do you agree, Antonio, or not?
I agree 110%. Yeah. Totally agree.
We were talking just to before. I don't want to forget this point that is important. Before starting the seminar, you were asking me why the wines of Serralunga are more structured in general compared to Castiglione Falletto or some areas of La Morra.
Yes. Reason, right, is when you
this
start
is
to learn about Barolo, Alessandro,
this-
everybody always says,
sorry.
when you start to read about Barolo, when you start to learn about Barolo, everybody says the wines from Serralunga are the older soils, the older geologies. The wines are more powerful, they're more dense, they're more structured. And my question for you is, do you agree, or is that just a bunch of BS? What's the truth?
So, in my opinion, the age of the formation is not so important. So the difference in age between the Sant'Agata Fossili Mars or the Formazione di Lecchio is not so important. Maybe is something that is difficult to explain even with some analysis. So if you look at the texture, okay, in Serralunga you have a little bit more sand compared to many areas in La Morra, so in Sant'Agata Fossili Mars. But usually sand is connected to elegance, not to power, okay? Because, for example, Rocca di Castiglione is a sandy soil, is a light soil. And with sandy soil in Rocca di Castiglione, you have elegance, you have fruit, but you have not the power. So why? Maybe is the overall composition of the soil, something that is difficult to explain, and the way that the soil reacts to the climate of the season. So, for example, in some cases with the Sant'Agata Fossili Mars, in particular of the sandy type, or where there is a lot of clay, you can have in certain vintages a stress due to the lack of water. So they start very quickly at the beginning of the season, but when they arrive at the end of the season, they have maybe sometimes they have some problem in dry years. While the soils of Serralunga, in general terms, are more balanced and gives suffer in a lesser way of drought, okay? And so are more regular along the season, and the vegetation along the season is longer compared to other area. And this could be the reason why the wines of Serralunga have more structure and power compared to the others. So because the vines has more time to collect materials and bring to the grapes and then to the wine. I want to show you, this is important because the time is going fast again. So I want to show you this, okay. Sorry if I move fast, but it's important. So we are with this image at the top of the Cerreta hill, okay? So in this case, we are looking to the south. We have Serralunga here. Then we have Prapo here. As you can see, is a steep side of the hill. So young soil with Formazione di Lecchio. So the wines usually are more austere compared to the Cerreta, but more perfumed at the beginning of their lives. But what is important is this one. If we move the image to the north side of the hill, we can see, we can imagine, yes, we can see that this part that was called in the past Cerreta Piani, and Baudana 30 years ago made a single vineyard Barolo from this area called the Cerreta Piani, was the only one to use this name, is less steep compared to the Prapo side. And this is the side that I showed you before on the geological map with that red pattern that showed the evoluted soil, okay? And it is from this area of the Cerreta that comes the wine from Roberto Conterno and from Manzeglia, and partly the wine of Luigi Baudana too. And in front, you have two crews that are nice to see, but unfortunately, at the moment, except for the San Rocco of Alzelia, has not reached the same quality of Cerretta and Propopo. For example, Sorano, in my opinion, is a fantastic hill with a fantastic exposure, but at the moment has not reached the same quality or the same results as the other crews. Do you want to see Vignarionda, Antonio?
Yeah, it'd be great to look at a few vineyards while we have time. Vineyarionda is obviously one of the great vineyards in the world, in my opinion. Anyway.
So, I want to show this because it's a fantastic view. Every time that I go to Giovanni Manzone, I have to stop in front of the gate of the cellar to look at this panorama, because it's something unique in the region. So we are on the side of Monforte. Here at the bottom, here on the left, you can see the houses here. This is Castelletto. This is the Castelletto crew. And you can see here Margheria, Marenca, Rivette, Vignarionda. So Ornato, Bricolina, Boscareto, Francia. So la crème de la crème. Okay? So Vignarionda, first of all, the name in Italian means round vineyard, so, or rounded vineyard. And this, it's a mystery for me, because if you look at the ridge, it's a straight ridge, it's not rounded, no? So there is no explanation about this name. Maybe the end of the ridge is a little bit rounded, but if you look at the tradition, traditionally, Vignarionda goes from this, I try to zoom a little bit in, goes from this small chabot that is owned by the Masolino family up to the second chabot. Can you translate the word chabot in, in English, Antonio? I don't know how to translate.
It's a little hut where the farmers used to stay and keep their tools in the middle of the vineyards. You still see those little sort of ramshackle brick huts with sometimes the straw on top.
So this is the first chabot, and there is a second chabot here, just behind the name Vignarionda, and are the traditional boundaries of Vignarionda. And I'm very curious to see what is happening with this parcel here. I want to show you what in detail. This one. That was not planted up to 5 years ago, more or less, and now is planted. Is owned by a young. No, it's not owned. It's leased by a young guy from Roero, if I remember well. So it's a new vineyard. It's just outside the boundary of Vignarionda, but in my opinion, it's a fantastic vineyard there. And I'm really, really curious to see what is going to produce this young guy from this vineyard, because it is a fantastic place. But unfortunately, it's not included in the Vignarionda area, and I don't know the reason at all. Maybe because at the time that they have delimited the crew, this parcel was not planted to vineyards. Okay, and I move again. Sorry, I zoom a little bit out. This is important. Every time that we talk about the wines of Serralunga, we say that, okay, the wines of Serralunga are more structured, as we said before, more powerful, they need times. But in my opinion, the wines of Serralunga are very different from each other. So Vignarionda has its own style that is completely different from Francia or completely different from Marione. And for example, the best example, every time I use this cru as an example, is Margheria, because Margheria is a perfect balance, combination of structure, but elegance as well, perfume, fruit, and this is due to the fact that in this area of Margheria, and because in this picture is not easy to see, here you have a small overcrop of sand. So all this area of Margheria, that is west or southwest, has a sandier texture compared to the other cruise of Serralunga. And maybe this could be the explanation of the different style of Margheria. So, and remember, again, if you compare Lazzarito and Gabuti, in my opinion, the wines are completely different in style. And so we have to try to make this effort to go, andare oltre, come si dice, Antonio?
Go beyond.
Go beyond this, mamma mia, stereotypi, okay? And so, any question?
We have a ton of questions.
I'm here.
One that's been asked a few times is about some of the maps that we saw in the seminar on Saturday or Sunday, I think it was, the Young Guns, where you had the vineyard broken up by ownership of yeah, the vineyard di Monforte broken.
We have what?
Yeah, is that going to be included? Is that included in every vineyard here, or is it coming? How does that work?
Sorry, Antonio, could you repeat, because the line was bad? I didn't hear nothing.
Sure, no problem. In some of the vineyard maps that you have, you show the breakout by owner.
Yeah, sure.
So do you have that for every vineyard, or is it something that you're adding gradually?
No. I'm working on it. You know, it needs time to make this this producer breakdown. So for the most important cruise like Brunate, Villero, Rocca di Castiglione, Vigna Rionda, I have this breakdown, but not, for example, for Canubi, because Canubi is not less important, but it's difficult to have a good picture of the cruise and show each parcel. So I'm working on it, and this is the goal for the future, to add every month, every week, some new detail. For example, I have on Monday or Tuesday, I do not remember, I have uploaded the breakdown of Ravera di Monforte. Okay, and so it's a work in progress website.
Well, it's a huge work. There's a couple of questions that several people have asked, which is, besides the tannic structure, what would you say are the characteristics of Barolos from Serralunga?
Dimmelo in italiano.
Oltre alla struttura tannica, quali sono le caratteristiche dei Baroli di Serralunga?
In my opinion, it's only the mouth. It's really the structure and the quality of the tannin. This is the main difference. Maybe there is the only exception of Margheria where you can find something different on the nose. But in a general way, in my opinion, from Cerretta up to Arione, the main characteristic of Serralunga is the tannin structure.
Okay. I would just add that for most wines, I think the fruit profile is darker, except for that sector that you mentioned. But generally, the fruit flavors are darker, and I think more dark spices and balsamic, menthol, licorice. These flavors you get more are very typical of Serralunga Barolos. That doesn't mean it's the only place you find it, because you find it also in places like Brunate, very dark wines.
Yeah.
But for sure, I think one of the signatures of most Serralunga Barolos is a darker.
Yes, this is, in my opinion, connected to is a warm place, Serralunga. All the cruise, many of the cruise on the western side of the ridge are early ripening cruise. So it's quite normal to have this kind of fruit. So a darker fruit. If you move on the eastern side of the ridge, in my opinion, for example, the wine from Brea has not such a dark fruit compared to the other cruise on the opposite side of the ridge. more or less. Then if you go to Badorina, it's even more evident because it's fresher, it's higher, and so on.
Badarina is basically the other side of Francia.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. If you want, I can show you. There should be a picture. Yeah, it's not the best, but anyway, here you have. Oh no, sorry, we are not sharing the screen, so it is impossible to show you.
But basically, if you're looking down at Cascina Francia, you've got Badarina on the back end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Clerico made his Aeroplan Servai from the first few vintages. That vineyard right on the other side of that red house.
Yeah, there was a crazy guy that with a house there.
There's obviously a lot of questions about geological history, which we're not going to be able to answer today. But you have a whole book on geology, and it talks about the whole history of these different formations, right? So people should go and read the
not the book, but inside the first volume of the book, there is a 30 pages section dedicated to the geology.
Yes,
and there is a geological map as well with the same description on the back. So you are not obliged to buy the book. You can buy the map as you prefer.
This is volume 1.
Volume 1, yeah. It's available from Rare Wine, yeah.
In the United States, yeah.
During the seminar with the young guns, there was a question. A guy asked me to explain which tools I use to make this images and so on. Of course, I'm not saying all these secrets, of course, but there are so many. The problem is that there are so many tools available now that to make a picture like this is not so difficult. It's much more difficult decide where to shoot the image. You have to know where because at the beginning you have a story in mind, so you have to tell a story, and you need an image that help you to tell this story, and you have to know perfectly the region and choose the place to where to shoot the picture. So this is the most important thing in this kind of work. Is not using Illustrator or a fantastic drone or something like this. It's really the knowledge of the region. So and if you don't know the Barolo area, you can stay there 3 months shooting every day, and you cannot have a good result. But if you know the region, you know perfectly that if you go there, you can have the image that you need. Okay.
Yeah.
So this.
Yeah.
I promised this answer to the guy.
And I think it's a perfect way to end, because not only are we out of time, but it's also one of the biggest things I've learned from you. So over the years. So if you want to go see the beautiful view of Serralunga, you go to Elio Grasso, or you go to Manzone, where you were mentioning. If you want to see another view of Serralunga, you go to Rocca di Castiglione in Castiglione Falletto, and you can see straight across to Gaia and the village. Perno gives you really beautiful views also, and
yes, yeah. From the yard of Vieti, from Vieti, you can see Cabuti perfectly. It's fantastic.
That's right.
But if you want to look at the Castiglione, you have to go to Serralunga. It's the same.
You go to Serralunga and you get great views. So that should be something that you're looking at. When you visit an area, keep that in mind. So Alessandro, thanks. I knew it was going to be a ton to cover in an hour, but maybe the next time we'll do Castiglione Falletto, and it'll be really fun. We can dive into, more Vieti, more Brovia, and a ton of other stuff. But thanks for your time. Everybody should check out Barolo MGA 360. Make sure you use the free coupon for the next month, and join me tomorrow if you want with more questions. I'll try to answer as many of these as I can that are not in Alessandro's domain. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of Festa del Piemonte, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Ciao. Thank you, Alessandro.